Hey, how y'all doing, folks? I glad to be able to talk to you today. I'm gonna talk about let's say causality, and we speak of the two truths and making the word true. You see, all three of these are involved together. They are in religious scriptures of all religions, whether directly stated or implied. These three, what I just mentioned, are in the scriptures of every religion, you see. It has to do with, the person, the human being, who can acquire the power of causality to cause things to happen first within himself. Well, this requires some knowledge of self, you see. But the person can create forms within himself. The Bible states this, but not in the same terms. When the Bible speaks of a patriarch where God told the patriarch that his seed would multiply upon the earth, and then we see where this person is begotten, then another person, and this person begets this one, and this person begets that one, and they have all these descendants. Okay? Well, actually, these descendants are forms, you see. When a person develops forms or builds forms within himself, he is developing his inner self, or we can say he is developing his soul, you see. And this is in all scriptures. Soul development. And it involves, let's say, a beginning, and then there's the fruition, the ending, the completion, when it comes to the development of the soul. The Christian scriptures, let's say the gospel of Jesus Christ, explain this rather vividly. People, I don't think most people don't pick up on it. What we're talking about here is then the two truths. There are two truths. There's Jesus as the first truth. Then there's the Christ, the second truth. So they said that Jesus was the Word. Or they say, He is the Word. Okay. We say that the Word is in reference to words of power. You know, we hear people talking about people in church, they get happy or whatever, and start speaking in tongue. Okay, that's the word too. That's the form of the word, because the word is words that are sounds that have no verbal meaning. So when a person's speaking in tongue in the church, no one understands what the person is saying. They say, oh, he's speaking in some foreign language. Yeah, he's speaking words of power. Or speaking in tongue is equivalent to words of power. But maybe the difference is that when a person speaks words of power knowingly, he knows that the sound of the words, which have no verbal meaning, the sound penetrates the human body and has an effect on human physiology. The word has the power to do that, so they call it words of power. Or in the ancient Egyptian scripture, it's called Heka. Okay, Hekau, Heka. Are words of power. So Jesus then was the Word. He evidently used words of power. Okay? So when he spoke to his disciples, and his disciples acted confounded, they didn't know what he's saying. He was speaking in words of power. They wondered what he was saying because he wasn't speaking in the language of the folks. You see what I mean? He was using a nonverbal form of sound to do his speaking. And they call it words of power. So anyway, the Jesus was the first truth when it comes to the two truths. He was the first truth, okay, in this context that we're speaking now. And then there came the Christ. Well, the Christ is the finisher, the completer. He makes the word true, you see. Speaking in the word is one thing, making it true is another. So the Christ comes along, he makes the word true. He completes the deal, you see. And Jesus was the beginner, he spoke the word, but it was the Christ that made the word true. So if we're talking about developing the soul or the spirit or achieving some spiritual attainment, okay, when we start off this process, well, that's the beginning, that's the first truth. And then once we complete the process, it's the second truth. We have finished it. We have become the completer. Okay. But during this process, the person creates forms within himself. This is the development taking place through these forms. You see. As the person approaches his spiritual attainment, developing these forms within himself takes him along that path of spiritual attainment, or takes him along the path to the Christhood. You see. So then it was the Christ who made the word true. He took the word of power spoken by Jesus and made these words of power true. So this is an example of the two truths. There's a beginning, and then there's an ending. There's a finish. The ending is the completion. You see. So this involves causality, because when a person starts off on this, he builds forms to help attain what he wants to attain. But by building these forms, he's causing things to happen within himself that will lead him to the completion, that will lead him in the Christian tradition, that will lead him to the Christhood. All religions have this. I just used the Jesus Christ as an example because I thought it was easier to explain, and because it's clear, and we can see the idea of causality, we can see the idea of the first truth, and we see the idea of the second truth, the completion. You see? So if a person decides that, well, he or she wants to buy a house, okay, oh, so they make plans to buy this house. Well, these plans or ideas are forms that he's developing within himself. Plans to get himself or herself in position to buy the house. And once the house is purchased, the deal is complete. He becomes the finisher, the completer. He began with an idea, he began with a plan, the first truth, and then he went on and completed the plan by purchasing the house. That's the second truth. But when I say, well, how does that apply to the spiritual attainment? Well, it so happens that a principle is the same across all planes of becoming. A principle is the same across all planes of becoming. So the principle here used in the external environment, so forth and so on, where the person goes and purchases a house, so forth and so on, okay, can be transferred over to the spiritual realm also. The same principle. You begin and you finish. The finish is the success that a person has acquired. He has achieved success. So this person becomes starts off as the first truth, the beginner, and then he becomes the finisher, the completer. Soul development and developing one's soul, reaching spiritual attainment. No, out here buying a piece of property or automobile or whatever. It's the same principle. It's the two truths. And these, like I say, manifest or come out. You see them in all religions. No matter what religion you belong to. All religions follow the ancient scriptures. That is, the mythology. All religions are mythology. But mythology carries the truth. You have to unravel the mythology to get to the truth. In other words, you have to understand your religion. You have to understand what you're reading when you read your religious scriptures. Okay. I'll talk about this again, and have a good one, and take care of yourselves.